Welcome to the Vegan Stew. We're really glad that you're here. And I'm not Laura, I'm Helene. And the reason for that is because Laura had a family emergency. So she is trying to get home so she can go and be with her family. And then Angela Vaughn is not with us this week because she had something else that was going on tonight. So you've got the four of us, and we're super excited because we're going to our main topic is going to be dating non-vegans, which I think most of us have had experience with and maybe still do. And then we'll have some current events first. Like that's our format. Hopefully you like it. If you don't, or you have any questions or comments, put them in a little box and we'll definitely address them. We'd love to have you as part of the show. Let's say thank you to Revolution Gelato, and I can get like our banner going. There we go. Thank you to Revolution Gelato for sponsoring all of our live things that we do this month. So if you go to virtualvegfest.com and you can enter our contest and you can win prize packs from 7 awesome companies like Follow Your Heart, Hodo Foods, Crafters Organics, Orgain, Cinnaholic, Revolution Gelato, and Terraseed. Those are our 7 prizes for this month, and it's the 29th, so that means you've got one more day for the September prize packs to go and enter. That's really simple. Oh, hey, Janine? I think it's Janine. Hey, Janine, thanks for watching. So, I don't think I have anything else to say. I think that's going to be the shortest intro ever. Really excited. Really glad that you're here. Glad this is taking off. Thank you for supporting us. And let's bring everybody in. There is Kimberly Winters of Did You Bring the Hummus podcast. And there is Marla Rose from Vegan Street. And there is Sangeeta from the Tilted Planet YouTube. Hi, Diane. I'm like Kimberly every Monday. That's awesome. We're really glad that you're here. So thank you. So I'm going to throw it at Marla so you can start us off with current events, and we'll just kind of have some conversation.
Yeah. Well, it's not been a huge news week, but one thing that definitely caught our attention with Vegan Street was that Yves Saint Laurent, which just goes as Saint Laurent now, has committed to going for free. So they're one of the biggest luxury brands, and they will be doing this by I think it said fall of 2022. And they will be joining brands like Gucci and Alexander McQueen and Neiman Marcus and a bunch of other. I mean, it just seems like that's, that sphere is really moving away from fur, which is fantastic. Hi, Robin Lee. She's a friend of mine. Anyway, that's exciting. Of course, it doesn't mean that animals will not still be used in other ways by these brands. But as we like to say in the vegan world, it's a start. So there's that, which in this, it really is. It is really good and important news. I mean, anytime we can make change with that is good. And then the second one that's kind of a corollary is that Volvo just announced that they are going to be removing cow products from their line of automobiles. Actually, by 2030, they're going to be not only electric, but free of leather interiors and that sort of thing. I think there still will be, from what I understand, still some wool here and there in different products, but anyway, that's big news too. It really does seem like a lot of the big manufacturers are moving away from animal hides. So great news. What do you guys think about that?
That's incredible. It's really cool because I think BMW, their electric car, is all vegan, right? And or is it? I think it's close, and and Tesla, I think also has an all vegan car. Hi, Richard. Thanks for joining us. So that's the wave, and of course, like Volvo, they last for like 50 years, so it'll take a while for them to like totally recycle to where they're all electric and
right
on the road. But the
but
animal
yeah,
testing,
I mean, it's definitely progress, right?
I think that it's like like a juggernaut. I think it started to roll,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna come. It's
Yeah,
only a matter of time before it becomes mainstream.
yeah, slowly but surely. And, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 months ago that the Body Shop personal care products announced that they're finally getting rid of all animal products on all of their lines, which they were pretty close to being vegan friendly for a long time. But anyway, that's really good news. I think a lot of times we want it to be, done overnight, but it takes a while, So yeah, that's all. I think it's good news, you know.
Oh, it is. And
Mm-hmm.
anytime that animals can be protected or saved,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a difference for the environment, is great news. Especially
Right.
when you go electric with the cars.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's where we're heading. A lot of the car manufacturers are doing. Another thing that happened this week was Ford actually said that they are going to concentrate on electric vehicles in this
Nice.
country, in the United
Mm-hmm.
States. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a really big deal too,
Mm-hmm.
because we tend to lag behind.
Yeah, but it only shows that there's demand. Like they don't care if there's not demand for it. So that's good stuff. And yeah, slowly but surely is what we say. I've been spending the last couple of days kind of reflecting on something I wrote 20 years ago while I was first pregnant with my son before he was born, and just kind of envisioning what a world could look like for a vegan child. And it's just we have, in terms of the lived experience of vegans, it's really improved so much. I don't think it's necessarily improved the lives of animals yet, but once we get that critical mass, that's going to happen.
Yes, agree
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies, do you have anything else to share about our current events?
That's it. Oh, except there's this vegan festival coming up this weekend in Asheville,
Asheville. Yeah.
which I always want to call Ashland. Do you know anything about it,
I'm living it.
Helene?
Yeah,
Oh, the life in an event planner. It's
oh
always a good
gosh. Yeah,
time.
Asheville Vegan Fest is Sunday in Asheville, North Carolina from 11 to 6 p.m. And this event kind of sucks my soul and is doing purely that. And then Nashville is October 9th, and then Chattanooga is October 16th and 17th. And we're super excited to do in person events because vendors need them.
Mhm.
And everyone needs to recoup from the loss of 2020. So if you're
Right,
coming,
right.
please shop.
Mhm.
Besides eat, because I know you're going to eat. I have no question that people are going to come to this event and eat
Right.
multiples and multiples of food. So just come hungry, and it's a big park, so you can literally like just like traverse back and forth, and you
Right.
eat, and then you can traverse back and forth, and then you can eat again because you'll
Well,
be
you get your
hungry,
first course, then your second course.
and
We
then
used
in
to call
between
it
shop.
our one of our unofficial taglines for Vegamania was wear your eating pants.
Yeah, the stretchy pants. Like wear
Yeah.
your stretchy pants because there's a lot of delicious food at all these festivals.
Yeah,
And but there's also some great vendors that have stuff for you to buy or information for you to look at and
for sure.
sanctuaries that you can support. So don't forget about them while you're eating because they also need people to buy stuff so that
For
they
sure.
can or donate so they can survive and keep doing what they're doing. We're
Mhm.
very, very, very vendor forward at Vegfest Expo's Triangle Veg Fest. So thank you, Marla, for like throwing me that plug. I really appreciate it. But, but our topic tonight is dating non-vegans, which is really interesting because either we've been the non-vegan possibly dating a vegan, or we have dated non-vegans or currently are dating non-vegans, and that's something that we want to talk about because one thing that I've found is even if someone's vegan, it doesn't mean they're the right partner,
Mhm.
right? Because, previously being vegetarian and then going into veganism, it doesn't, it's, you can check that box, but that box doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, one, you're a good person,
Right.
two, you're a good partner,
Mhm. Mhm.
and, I want to date you. It's like, And sometimes you stick with someone longer because you've got that vegan side,
Mhm.
because you think about all the things that come with dating someone who's not vegan, like the eating thing, the kissing thing, those things that you kind of go, ew, I don't want to like really deal with that, or how do I deal with that? But you
Mhm.
might find a person who's better suited for you, who's not vegan, that may be very accepting.
Open to it, yeah.
Right. I call it vegan friendly. I
Mhm.
want to tell you a little story about Marty. Some of you might know Marty. Marty is Marty's V Burgers in New York City in Manhattan. He's a very good friend of mine. And I knew Marty before he was vegan. And I think there's some people out there that don't believe that he ever wasn't. But he wasn't when I met him. And I was vegetarian, and he's one of the funniest men on the planet. And he just he went from like we were in a restaurant on Long Island, and they played pass the meatball. So when someone had the meatball in their hands, they had to tell a joke. And
Oh,
I actually fell on the floor laughing. They were so funny. He would never ever think to do that unless it was a vegan meatball now. But he's
yeah.
Marty's V Burgers in Manhattan. I'm going to throw the shout out there if you're ever in the city, ever in New York City. I don't Kimberly, you need to go. Some of the best vegan burgers on the planet come from Marty. And he's not only vegan, but like preachy vegan, like in your face vegan. That's where he went. And it's been a really long time now. And he's not married to someone who's vegan. But
Wow.
he convinced his daughter to go vegan.
Mm.
Which is it's like, yes, so he has someone on his team in the family. But
Right.
yeah, so he's, that's something. Thank you for adding that link. So that's like really cool. So you can go and get food if you're close by, or if you go there, because I can't wait. I'll be there in December. So, but that's like one of those things. And right now, my partner is not vegan. Now, many people think he is, because Steven is vegan, but he's not. He's incredibly vegan friendly. And with me, he eats vegan, which is 99% of the time.
Right.
So the house is vegan, but it does have its positives and negatives. It's for him, he's expressed some thoughts and feelings on being able to eat other foods that are not vegan in the household, which was a discussion they brought up that I honestly partially ignored, not during the discussion, but haven't addressed it since. But know that I have to, because it's not really fair to him that he lives in this house, he pays bills, which was his point, and that he doesn't get to eat everything that he wants to eat. On the flip side, I don't feel heard necessarily, because every single day I'm fighting for a better planet, for better health, and for the animals. And I go, how in the world could you even want to eat that food? And he knows, he's not a dumb guy, he's an incredibly intelligent human being. He knows that all the things that I'm doing, he supports it 100,000,000%. But how does the connection not get there? He's had like a debate with Milton Mills when he was here. I mean, it's been really interesting. So that's my like intro for all of us to share,
Mhm.
because I know many of you have the very similar or stories that, if it's not your now, it's your past, right? So who wants to go? Oh, can you sing, Gita?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was the opposite. I was dating a vegan while not being a vegan. And if I can understand your partner, because I was in the same boat. Like in theory, I had understood all the arguments, but I was still not a vegan. And if I look back to that time that I wasn't a vegan and being married to Dilip, or before that dating Dilip, um, I think I was going by my instinct, and it came to a point where my rational mind started to be in the driver's seat, and then the desire to eat non-vegan food went away. And when that time will come for somebody, there is no telling. Like, instinct, food is such a basic instinct. There is nothing more fundamental than that to eat. Like, you see an apple tree, there's apples there. I don't think you're thinking, you just want to grab that apple, right? So the thought comes later when it comes to food, but know that consciousness can win over that instinct eventually.
Patience and no pressure.
Right? Patience and no pressure. Yeah, right.
Yep, which doesn't always come easy
It's very difficult.
to to vegans.
Yeah.
Go for it, Kimberly.
So when I met JP, who's now my husband, he was not vegetarian or vegan, and he was very kind to me and was like, "That's really great for you, but I'm not interested. So you do what you're going to do. Don't try to bring me along." And so I didn't. That's not really my approach anyway. And we were together for years, and we'd been married for a year, and he was like, "I'm going to go vegetarian." We'd watched, I can't remember which documentary it was, but he was really affected by the story of some piglets. And he's like, "I don't want to eat that anymore, so I'm going to go vegetarian." And he lasted about 6 months. And he said to me one day, "I just need to eat something." I can't remember what it was. And I cried so hard. I didn't know. Like, I had spent all this time being with him when he wasn't even trying to be vegetarian. And then once he had tried, when he decided he wasn't going to do it anymore, it hurt me so much to the point where I thought, oh my gosh, like, can I do that? Can I go back? Because we had a joke, like anytime we would eat something, if he had animal products, like, and he would, not thinking, like, go to give me a kiss, it'd be like, "I don't want your meat mouth. No, thank you." And I just couldn't fathom going back to that. So I kind of, I had to work through that because it wasn't fair, right, to make him suffer through it if he didn't want to do it. And so I backed off and I calmed down, and I just continued to make food. I continued talking about things that I was talking about, and I didn't pressure him. And then we attended a talk by Dr. Esselstyn, Caldwell Esselstyn, and then another talk by T. Colin Campbell. And and before that, we'd heard Gene Bauer talk, and Gene Bauer talked a lot about men and how being vegan is not always seen as manly, and the combination of these three men speaking to that. And it wasn't something that he was conscious about, like, oh, maybe it's not like a guy thing to be vegan, but he had these three men who had these different perspectives on eating this way, and it finally clicked. He's been vegan now for 2 years, and it's so much fun to be married to a vegan.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really, I mean, it does in some ways, I guess it makes it easier. I feel for me that I'm just happy with him. I'm very thankful that I'm thankful I can cook. I think that helps. As Megara, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, said vegan desserts, that's how you start the conversion. Yeah, vegan food is the gateway drug to veganism. That's what I say. It's 100% true because people really care about food. It's not to sustain you. It's emotional.
It's emotional.
It's cultural. It's tradition. Like we were just talking about Thanksgiving. It's a lot of things for people. And I'm just really thankful that I have someone who I love to be with, who is on board with what I'm doing, but not necessarily on board for himself yet. And that's
How long were you guys together when you went vegan?
Well, we have a story. We're on and off now for 35 years ish.
Wow.
30. We were first love 16. I was 16. He was 17. So yeah, so it's been a long time. So he knows me pre-vegetarian. He knows me as vegetarian. He knows me as vegan. He knows me as vegan gluten-free. He knows me as vegan not gluten-free. He knows me, and that's, I think, to me, that trumps. I feel that trumps the vegan side,
Right.
because if you're with the right person, they'll be respectful of what you're doing. But I'm going to bring up the point. I'm going to go there. He's very respectful of me, but can I do more for him? Even though and the Kimberly, I want you to chime in. I, I can't, I see. I just had a conversation with Jennifer Green about this because she also has a husband that wasn't vegan who is doing much better and coming over to being vegan and it's kind of there, but she let the food be in the house, right? The things like tuna fish and like that seems to be a common thing is like tuna fish salad. And I my fear is that if I give and say, okay, bring tuna in, use vegan mayo, which won't be a problem, right? It's like Beyond Burger with dairy cheese on it. Okay, I'm okay with that. If like that's you're in a restaurant, the bigger part is the burger part. So does it lead to more? Yeah, right. Because steak's not getting cooked, meat's not getting cooked in this house. There's no compromise on that. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to be on my plates or my pans or the smell. They're just things that are not going to happen. But like, where do I move the line so that I'm respectful of him because he matters enough to be that?
Yeah. Now, when I was a vegetarian, I had no line absolutely for anyone. If they wanted to bring meat and put it in my refrigerator, somehow it didn't bother me, even though I am a lifelong vegetarian. But that wasn't the case with my husband. There was no way he was going to marry anyone who would bring non-vegan food in the house. I mean, he wouldn't even let his own parents bring dairy in the house. So it's everyone is at a different place. But I always think that there is a lot more to a relationship than just food.
That's true.
And if your partner is a vegan but not treating you well, that's something that you need to pay more attention to.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you're in a relationship where you are not being treated well, you're being abused, or you feel like you might be, please reach out to sources. We have a current news story that touches on that, right? That poor girl, Gabby, just lost her life probably because we don't know, but the relationship was not healthy. So, and for most women, because we're all women here, most women who abuses them and who kills them more than anybody else, your partner. So, and that's really scary because there are many times I've been in bad relationships where I thought to myself, is the grass greener? Like, I know what I have now. Will it be better over there? Yeah, Brandy, excellent, excellent, excellent. Life's too short. Don't settle. That's right. Because as you get older and you go in and out of relationships and they end, and you're like sad, you tears, and oh, that's it. I'm never going to find somebody. I mean, everyone's kind of uttered those words, right? That's not true, because you heal and you find somebody else because there isn't just one person for everybody. That's not true. And as much as I feel like I'm with my soulmate because 16, but it took a really long time to get there. We had to grow and mature and go through our own experiences to get to where we're at.
Right.
You don't stay in a relationship because of these.
Right.
You don't stay in a relationship because of veganism, especially if you're being abused or not treated well. It's not worth it because there's always somebody else that. But don't leave a great relationship because there's going to be somebody else either, because the grass isn't always greener and their relationships are not easy. I've got 3 married women on this show with me. It's not rainbows and cupcakes every single day.
Speak for yourself, Helene. I don't know. Well, I just wanted to say, so my story is a little bit different in that when I met my now husband, he was a vegetarian when we met, and I was a vegetarian when we met, and so we went vegan together. But when I went, hey guys, I'm sorry. Sorry. I went vegan in 1995, and I called him, I think it was, yeah, I called him from work, and he was at work too. And I just said, John, I mean, there was all kinds of reasons for it, but I just called him and said, John, I think we should go vegan. And he didn't, wait even a second. He said, okay. So I got off really lucky. It just so happens he was not someone who consumed a lot of eggs and dairy before that. So it wasn't like giving up these, deeply held, associations for him, so that was fairly easy. Now I have kind of a different attitude about, and that may sound intolerant, but whatever. I don't feel like it is disrespectful to your partner to not allow. So to me, there's no real harm done in your person not being able to eat animals or animal products in your house. There's no real harm done, except maybe they feel like, their voice matters less or something like that. But what is more important in this scenario is, basically excusing the violence to the animals. And again, I'm not judging anyone, and I haven't been in that particular position because I've been lucky enough that this was always, and he's also, a good life partner in general for me. So it's not like I just went for the vegan thing. But so anyway, I don't think it has to do, personally, I don't feel like it has to do with disrespect. To me, it's like when you have a vegan party and your in-laws get angry that there's not going to be meat for them at your house. It's like, now that's a little different because that's one meal. I don't know. I mean, is it that important that they can't just eat that outside of the house, if they have to? You know what I mean?
I do, and that actually came up. I mean, in the sense of, why do I have to sit and eat in the car? Because we have that house here, because you're not bringing it in.
Yeah.
Right? You're right. The point that you're making, Marla, is you don't have to sit and eat in the car because you don't need to eat that food.
Right.
Right? And I hear that, but I'm not. I can't force him to what food he's going to eat. I mean, I do a great job of cooking
Right.
and feeding and doing that part. But, sometimes he's starving because the food is not filling enough. And I'm not eating like, well, I'm sure you're not eating as much, right? We're not eating as much. So when I prepare something, I'm preparing something on a lighter side, not heavy, not heavy, and not like sides of bread, things that would fill you up.
I think that, to me, that's on him just to figure out ways to fill himself up with, like fiber food is filling. I'm sorry. I don't mean to come off like I don't like your husband or anything like that. But I'm just saying, like, to me, it feels like that's, I don't know. Women are always used to, figuring out these accommodations and stuff. It's like, that should be easy enough for you to figure out. It's like, if my husband's still hungry before we go to bed, he'll make some toast and eat.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Again, I don't want to sound.
Now, I mean, how about you put it this way, that this house is a safe place for animals. It's not about you. It's not about me.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who had this happen to her, and it wasn't with her husband. They were both vegan, but when they had family come in, and they got really upset because they couldn't bring anything that they wanted to eat. And so this is how she explained that our house is a safe house, no harm to animals' house. And at that time, they agreed. I mean, if you're a decent person, you would understand that boundary. It's not about you, it's not about me, it's about whether we want to hurt animals in this house or bring that pain or suffering in this house.
Okay, so
That's one
yeah,
argument.
my thought too is like, would that expectation be on someone who keeps kosher? Like, well, why can't I just have my bacon? Why can't I just like why? I think that someone would look at that and say, well, you know what? This is a kosher household. These are
Hmm.
their
Hmm.
kosher standards, you know? So I just don't feel like, why is that taken with reverence and, you know, seriousness, and ours is just like this little, you know, goofy thing that we
Right.
impose.
Exactly. Like coming from India, there is a lot of vegetarian households, and you would never ever propose to bring
Right.
meat in vegetarian house. Those who are vegetarian for religious reason, you would never ever even propose to do that. But as I agree that the same reverence is not offered or extended to vegans, or even if like I am vegan and I'm just being myself, being not even demanding
Yes.
anything, just being vegan, then why is there an expectation that I sort of go along with every person and eat something that's not vegan? That why can't they understand that if I was fasting, you would not expect me to eat food that is not allowed for fasting, or if I was a vegetarian, I was a Jain, or whatever my restriction was, you would not expect me to change that just to please you, right? And but that same kind of thing is not extended to vegan people. That's how I feel.
That's true. And interesting enough, in a kosher household, I've seen kosher households where they've brought in non-kosher and put it on paper plates.
Interesting. Yeah, we actually
Right.
did something like that when my mom had dementia, and she lived with us, and we would never spend our money or cook meat, but sometimes she just wanted to get her Subway. And like, I don't know if you've ever tried to reason with someone who's got, you know, dementia, but it can get very unsettling. So we just had her things, you know, her plate that, you know, so
Hmm.
it wasn't something I enjoyed doing, but you know.
Yeah, that is also a common solution sometimes in India, that you keep a separate utensils for cooking eggs or whatever. If
Right.
everything else is uh, vegetarian, is cooked in the normal utensils.
That's how we had it set up when JP was still eating animals. When I moved in with him, when we met, I was already vegetarian. And every person I've dated, because I've been vegetarian since I was 20, every person I dated knew I would never touch animal products. Like, I'd never prepare meat or anything, and I wouldn't buy it for them. Um, and so he knew that coming in, so there was never an expectation
Right.
that I would make any animal products. So that made
Right.
it very easy for me going into relationships. But when I moved in with him, we took his pots and pans and stuff, and those became the meat pots and pans. And JP wasn't much of a cook back then anyway, so he didn't care. He almost never, I can't even think of a time where he actually prepared animal products. Like, if he was making himself dinner, he was making himself macaroni and cheese. Like, there was not like there wasn't like a steak and a potato or anything.
Right.
And it was very clearly delineated, here's the stuff that I'll use, and then here's the stuff he'll use. And it was really easy that way. But since he wasn't much of a cook, it was very clear, like, he was like, I'm not going to bring in, a pack of chicken or anything like that. So that was off the table. None of that was coming into the fridge. But yeah, exactly. But he would, if we got takeout, he would order whatever he wanted. And so, we would be eating together, and he would have his animal products, and then mine would not be. So that's been tough, but I've never before him been in a relationship with a vegan, like before he, since he's now vegan. I was used to it, and like, you know, most of the people around me still eat animals, and so I kind of was able to separate myself from that. And, you know, just like with Steven, you know, JP was paying half the bills, so I felt like he's agreed to not actually have pieces of animal bodies in the fridge. He's ordering takeout. He's not cooking it. There's no smell.
Right.
So that was kind of our he didn't have to eat in the car. He was able to bring it in. That was the
So I feel like I'm getting support and like great feedback, and you know maybe feel a little shitty, but you know,
No, I don't want you to feel that way.
I just it's something I think about. It's something I think about often. If you're going to be in a relationship with somebody, you have to think about these things. Let's see what Robin Lee said. I have separate utensils for my cat and keep them apart from my dishes. Like he's pescatarian. That's so funny.
We do that too.
I use a separate spoon for the dog and cat food, even though the
Right.
dog's food is vegan. Yeah, and I wash the cat spoon off after I feed the cats because the cat food is obviously not vegan or vegetarian, and then I feed the dogs with a spoon. I wash it up before feeding them, so it extends the dogs.
You know, yeah, we live in a very imperfect world, you know, so we're all trying to do our best, you know. It's anyone who never makes any compromises, never, you know, considers, you know, this idea that others around them might eat animals. It's just, you know, I mean, good for you. You live a very cloistered life, but it's just, I got a little bit of pushback, you know, at one point about my mom from friends, vegan friends, about my mom's eating. It's like, that's her money. It's not in our pans. And so it's like at a certain point, you know, if she went into a senior facility, she would have been eating meat all the time, you know, and dairy products and eggs and all that. So it's like sometimes you have to do the best you can do, you know. Yeah, I mean, there are people who, you know, live on a mountaintop of superiority, I guess, but
Yeah. And when you're looking for a partner, I think it's important to let them know that you are a vegan. And if they may or may not be a vegan, but if they know and they're still open to have a relationship with you, then it's gonna get easier over time, because that's what happened with me. I knew that Dilip was a vegan advocate, and I was still open to having a relationship with him because I was curious about being vegan, and then eventually I became vegan.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone has their own path with that too. Some people just like, for me, it was, you know, I don't appreciate anyone coming at me sternly and wagging a finger. I don't know many people who respond favorably to that. But the seed planting approach does work for most of us. Like, you know, I think that's true in the case of your partners, and with you, Sangeeta, it's just it took you coming around to it, you having the decision on your own, you know, rather than feeling that pressure, you know.
Right. So. I mean, there was a pressure, but I didn't care about it.
Yeah.
I'm sure Dilip had many conversations about why you should be vegan.
Yeah.
You know that eggs you're eating?
Yeah, when we started dating, he was visiting me one time in Charlotte, and we went to grocery store. And like I always do, I bought a can of milk, dairy milk. And I could see the disappointment on his face. And I didn't understand that at that time. I was like, what's the big deal? You know, he should know that I am a vegetarian, you know.
Right.
But although I kept doing what I was doing, I still got the milk. And when it was my time, then I became vegan, not because he was pushing me. Or that does not work.
Nope.
I think this is a whole side topic that I won't get into, but Sangeeta, maybe you can confirm or deny this, but it seems like a few different friends of mine who grew up in India or immersed in Indian culture in the United States, who later went vegan, were raised vegetarian. They didn't necessarily have like a deep conviction about how the animals were treated. It was just their tradition. It was how they were raised. So,
True.
yeah. So when this one friend of mine, Manali, when she was in college, she had been raised vegetarian, just never really thought about it. But she got exposed to more information about the dairy industry and the egg industry, and made that conscious decision to go vegan and really do a lot of outreach to different Hindu communities, to try to get them to understand, because a lot of people like it's rote, it's just tradition or whatever. There's not that deep connection.
Right. And when I was growing up, obviously we all grew up as vegetarians. And just for the reason because our parents were vegetarians, so we were vegetarian. But then things started to change as I was in college. People were getting more westernized, and it was considered modern to eat meat.
Right.
And so that's when I noticed that many of my cousins, my family, even my brother started to eat meat. And that's when I had a sort of recognition of myself that even though they are starting to eat meat, that's not something I wanted to do.
Right. Right.
That's when I realized that I am not vegetarian just because.
Right. Right.
And then when I came to United States, everybody was saying like, oh, you're going to US, you're going to start eating meat. And I was like, no, because I had no desire to start eating meat. It never
Right.
ever occurred to me that I wasn't going to do that to any animal. I knew that. But at that time, I knew that I was a vegetarian on my own now, not because of the tradition.
Exactly. It's kind of interesting because Gandhi went through a similar evolution, in that, like, when Mahatma Gandhi, when he was going off to study and become a lawyer in London, the messaging he got was to be strong, to be like a large Westerner, to be more bulletproof. You have to eat animals. Like the Indian tradition is keeping people locked in the past. So he started eating meat, and one night he had a terrible dream that the goat or whatever he had eaten was bleating, like inside of his belly, and from then on he was vegetarian. So
Interestingly enough, he actually joined the London Vegetarian Society with George Bernard Shaw.
Oh, that's awesome. So your point, like with Dilip being upset when you purchased the milk when he went to visit you, I want to kind of touch on why, because I feel like the thought process is, I'm here, I'm only here for a short amount of time. Can't you just not do that while I'm here, because you know that I'm vegan? I mean, I'm obviously I'm speaking for Dilip, I'm speaking for anyone who's been in that role and on that side of it, to say like, I'm only here for this short amount of time, and I'm vegan. Can't you just buy the milk 3 days from now? Like, why are you rubbing it in my face that you're drinking milk?
Right.
Like and I know you just did what you did, but
Yeah.
the other side is, that's the when you saw that hurt, is that's probably what the thought process was, because I know, and it might be an immature thought process, right? And I'm not saying it's the right one, but I'm saying that that's the thoughts and feelings that some of us have when the person we're with kind of doesn't think about especially in that short period of time, like going back to like Marla said, when you go, like people come over for a meal and they're like, I can't have my meat for this one meal. Fuck, can't you just not have a meal with meat in it? I mean, it's not like I'm feeding you dog shit and like saying, eat this. I'm giving you some incredible food. Can you at least try it and be, because one meal, you're going to be okay. Even if you don't even eat and you just eat the
Yeah.
bread,
There's a lot of
you'll be,
entitlement with that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, but from my point of view, like if I was dating a meat eater, I wouldn't expect that person to do anything differently for me. Up until that point, it was like, okay, it's my personal decision that I don't want to hurt animals. I'm not gonna eat meat. But then if somebody was a meat eater, I wouldn't expect them to change anything for me at that point.
And I would feel, if I was Dilip in that situation, I would feel how Dilip felt. I would be like, really? And it looks like Kimberly's shaking her head like I
Yeah,
would feel
me
that way
too.
too. I'd be like, I mean, if it's a short period of time, right? That 3 days, that 2 days. That's why for Steven, it was relatively easy. We would see each other on trips, right? And for that week or 5 days or 3 days, whatever it was, it's like, oh, this is easy. I can totally just eat all this delicious food with her. But that's not the case anymore. He lives here now, and we have so much. Obviously, he's surrounded by this vegan thing. He's at the events. He's listened to Gene Bauer. He's heard the speakers speak because we've sat down and listened to them and watched the movies. So it's not like he doesn't know.
No,
It's
yeah.
just that
Sometimes it's just this unlocking that has to happen within someone. Like, and sometimes people just want to hold on to it till the last. It's just, there is no one evolution, and some people, I've heard that story many times, Helene, about someone who's just holding on to that one little bit, and
I think that today, still in the society, it is more acceptable to eat because of your tradition than because of your newly found ethical, more thoughtful vegan way.
right.
It's still
Yeah.
more acceptable, yeah.
Right.
oh, for sure. I mean, culture and tradition is, I mean, like, well, just one meal, Thanksgiving. That's that that is the epitome of meals. So let's see what Brandy said. Brandy's awesome, by the way. If I went over to someone's house and they happened to be gluten free, I wouldn't bring gluten bread or pasta. That's right. And if someone's diabetic, or like we brought up
Right.
kosher, and there's all these
Right.
things that people wouldn't do,
Right.
because
But
out of the
actually, this one
respect.
has an ethical component. The other one's,
Yeah, I think that ethical component is what makes people quite uncomfortable.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's understandable. I mean, it's the first time in history that we're, this idea of choosing your diet based on your ethics is a very modern construct.
Well, it may not be the first time in the history, because
no, I mean in terms of the long arc of human history.
right, because there is an argument like Buddhism has had its impact on making most Indians vegetarian. So it has occurred in the past.
That's definitely true. That's definitely true.
But again, we don't have the exact history, like how long after Buddha's life a vegetarian diet became more of a norm in India. I don't know if there is a history of that.
Kimberly?
Yes, my point, I was going back to people who feel like they can't go one meal without meat. And this is fresh in my mind because yesterday was actually my wedding anniversary. And we decided, because JP still ate animals, that the main course would have an animal option and a vegan option, but all of the cocktail hour and anything passed around would be completely vegan. So we thought that was a great compromise. We didn't hear complaints from our attendees, but at one point, my dad walked up to me during the cocktail hour and he said, "I'm pretty sure they just gave me chicken." And my dad's not vegan, so I was like, "Oh my God, what do you mean?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's definitely chicken." So I went and I asked the maitre d', and he was like, "Oh yeah, well, because you guys are serving, meat as a main dish, we thought we'll just add some. It's no charge. Like we're just going to add extra
Oh
to
my
the
gosh.
or the cocktail hour." And I was like, "No, this is my wedding and I need to be able to eat everything you're passing around."
Right.
And so I shut it down immediately. They pulled
That's
back
good.
that food, and yeah, I was like, I was not having that. Thank you guys.
No, we
Like
actually
these people here can handle a cocktail hour without animals in it. My goodness.
I was kind of, we got married in 1998 and I had a vegan wedding then. And John's family is coming from teeny little town in Minnesota. So it was like very odd. Like I said, 1998. It was, but we had the Chicago Diner cater it, and they are very good at what they do. Anyway, I was almost a little offended at my wedding because people were complimenting the food more than my dress. It's like, come on. So, yeah, that's awesome that you put your foot down, Kimberly. But one of the things I was so excited about was just how people, we didn't try to hide the fact that it was vegan or anything like that, but we didn't make a big deal about it either. People loved it. People were really interested in it. I mean, how many times have we gone to a wedding and eaten a nutrition bar in the car on the way home with like low blood sugar because we couldn't get anything? So otherwise, this was just an amazing meal. And like I said, people kept talking about it. Many people who'd never had vegan food on that level before.
That's a whole other topic, by the way, that we
Yeah.
totally should bring up is like vegans going to affairs and weddings and
Yeah.
stuff. I think it's a common topic that comes up. So we can add that to our list. But Sangeeta.
Yeah, so we had a vegan wedding here in the United States, and many people tell me that that was the best wedding meal they had ever, vegan or not. That's one thing. Then Dilip and I went to India for our reception, and when my brother first started planning the reception, he wanted to serve meat, and I had a heated argument with him, and I said that none of your wedding had meat in it, so why do you have to serve meat in my reception? So he then understood, that he agreed. The only thing they said that they were like going to have milk for the tea for the guests and ice cream, that they at that time in 2005 there was no way for them to find a vegan alternative for that in my hometown. So that was a compromise that we had.
So dating is difficult to begin with, right? Dating and trying to find the person that can be your person for whatever period of time that is also not easy. If you're fortunate enough to find that, hold on to it. And if that person's not vegan, but you are, don't just shoo them away because they're not. It's pretty common to be like, I'm not dating you because you're vegan. But what if you're throwing away that shiny penny? That's the diamond in the rough. That's your diamond. It's your shiny penny. You don't know and you also don't know, is based on this conversation, if the person will kind of sway over to veganism or sway over to compromise or eat all of the meals that you cook for them and be happy. You don't know, but you have to try. And if you wait for that person who's vegan, you might be waiting a really long time because there's not a lot of them, and that person has to be single, and they have to be single at the same time you're single, and you have to be fortunate enough to meet them. So not always an easy thing, but there's a lot of people that you meet in daily life. So don't just judge them because the first thing that you ask is, are you vegan? I would say, no, I'm not vegan, but make sure that the words that follow that, because they're always, well, I don't really eat a lot of meat. Forget that. Get past that, because that's just the standard answer for people who feel uncomfortable when they learn that you're vegan or vegetarian. Delve in, as communicate, talk to one another, and then you'll learn who that person is, and then you'll really learn if they're interested in you for you and will respect your not diet, but your lifestyle. It would be no different than you being kosher and a person saying, "Well, I'm not gonna live with you because I want my bacon." So if that's the deal breaker, they're probably not the right person for you.
Yeah, it speaks to more things than just eating animals, you know.
Right. A lot more things.
Mhm.
Lifestyle, 100%. Yeah, we've got to get away from calling it a vegan diet. Let's just call it. It's a lifestyle, because we're not eating this way because there are side effects to it. Better health. You could lose weight. You could not lose weight, but lessen your the propensity for having things like cancer, diabetes, heart disease, high cholesterol, strokes. You lessen that by eating whole foods, plant-based and or vegan. Those are great things. So, but that doesn't equate to decent human being, and let's also make sure that it's lifestyle, not diet. And that would be great, because it is a life. Yes, Brandy, it is a lifestyle. And that's one thing that when I go live we talk about, that because diets, people fail at dieting. People go and yo-yo. People like try the myriad of diets that are out there. But most people, when they understand veganism,
Mhm.
it's not the food anymore.
Right. I think most
Food
of
is
us
the plus.
have done diets before we were vegan, and it really feels very different. You know, it's not at all the same. It's just like it's in a totally different mental space.
Yep.
You know.
Well, ladies, thank you.
Thank
We've
you.
definitely we've definitely done a great job of this conversation. Hopefully, the people that are watching really enjoyed that, and we help you like on your journey to finding love, or you know what, staying single. Whatever you want. Have kids, don't have kids, whatever it is. But the most important thing is just get vaccinated. I don't care what you do with your life right now. Just get vaccinated, because we support that here. All of us do. Thank you, Brandy. I'm so glad that you joined. Brandy is an avid Kathy Hester fan. So
Ooh, I love Kathy
we
Hester.
all we all love Kathy Hester, so I'm like really glad that she joined in, because she's just like that on when she watches Kathy Hester too. So, and I'm sorry I can't miss Griffin. Very much enjoyed. Thank you,
What's it
ladies.
called? Cat Master?
Where
What you said? She's an avid what master fan?
Kathy
Kathy
Hester.
Kathy Kathy Hester.
I thought it said Cat Master, and I was like, what? What is this?
She
Okay.
might. She might.
No, Kathy Hester is a slow cooker specialist.
Yes,
Right.
Plant-based.
plantbasedinstapot.com. You can find Kathy
Yeah.
Hester. She's a vegan cookbook author that lives in our community here in Raleigh, Durham, and we love her.
We love her. Hi,
We love her.
Kathy, if you're listening.
I know someone like Marty and Kathy, all these people need to like tune in for this one, because we're throwing a lot. I train cats to be evil, Cat Master. That's really funny. Okay. So ladies, I'm gonna put you in the green room and close this out.
Bye,
Ready?
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Awesome. Well, thank you once again for watching the Vegan Stew. We really appreciate it. We will be back in 2 weeks. First Wednesday of the month. First Wednesday of the month, we take a break and we do our planning meeting. So we'll be back the second Wednesday, which is 2 weeks from now, and it should be the full stew crew, which would be great. Angela Yvonne and Laura Ball will be back with us. Thank you, Robin Lee. Thank you, Brandy. Thank you, Miss Griffin, because I don't want to butcher your name. And then when we do come back, the topic is going to be, and Marla will be hosting, is inclusiveness without losing the vegan foundation. So that'll be our show, episode 5. And you can tune into Kimberly on Mondays. It's Fireside Chat with Kimberly on Virtual Vegfest Live at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Wake Up and Yoga is back at 8 a.m. on Monday, October 4th. It's back. You start your day and your week with some yoga. And that's Kim from Piper something yoga. I'm so sorry. It's brand new to me, but that's 8 a.m. on Monday on Virtual Vegfest Live as well. And Virtual Vegfest Live is taking for me a little hiatus because I'll be on the road because we're doing in-person events. Remember, thank you to Revolution Gelato for sponsoring us. And enter the contest at virtualvegfest.com so you can win one of our 7 prize packs. And we really appreciate you. And remember to be kind to one another. It is a weird world out there. And like we said, wear a mask when you're around people close enough to breathe their air. We don't want anyone to get sick. And we want you to get vaccinated because you've got a better chance of living if you do. And we can get back to some normalcy if everyone gets vaccinated. We support that here at the Vegan Stew and Virtual Veg Fest and Triangle Veg Fest too. Have a great rest of your night. And maybe I'll see you in Asheville or Asheville Vegan Fest on Sunday, 11 a.m. to 6. Thanks, everyone. Bye.